Swadika, good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight with us.
And Swadika, and good evening as well. Kickstarting the program tonight with the developments on the vaccine administration, especially with the booster doses. And recently, the CCSA has decided to speed up the mass provision of the vaccine booster shots to guard against the potentially serious symptoms of the Omicron variant, which has now been sort of a virus of concern at the moment, with Thailand having at least 3 or 4 confirmed cases already. So the CCSA spokesperson, Dr. Tawising Wisanuyotin, said that the Omicron variant has already spread to many countries, and it has been reported that 3 doses of vaccine can help reduce the risk of getting hospitalized and deaths as well. And in Thailand, he said that only 4.1 million people, or if you consider as a percentage, it would be around 5.5% of the entire population that have received 3 shots, and 97 million doses of vaccines have been administered so far. And if we look at the percentage of people getting first doses, second doses, so far around 69% of the entire population, or 49 million people, have already received 1 vaccine dose, and 43.3 million people, or 60% of the entire population, have received 2 doses. Dr. Tawisin said that the CCSA has set a target to have administered 100 million doses of vaccine by December 20th. The date has been postponed from the initial targets set for the end of November and then by December 5th. He also said that 6.6 million doses will be administered in December alone, with 3.1 million as first jabs, 2.3 million as second jabs, and 1.2 million as booster shots. He also explained that people can choose the available vaccines for their booster shots.
So for that, people who were inoculated with the AstraZeneca vaccine for the first 2 shots can choose Pfizer or Moderna as their booster, and that has to be taken 3 months after their second jab, while people who have received 2 Pfizer or 2 Moderna doses can choose either of the 2 vaccines as their booster, and that is to be administered 6 months after the second shot. For people who receive mixed vaccines such as Sinovac and then AstraZeneca, or Sinopharm and AstraZeneca, can choose AstraZeneca, Pfizer, or Moderna as that third shot with a 3 months gap. And those who have received Sinovac and Pfizer, or Sinopharm and Pfizer, can choose either Pfizer or Moderna for their booster shot, and with 3 months apart after the second jab. And those having received AstraZeneca and Pfizer as the first 2 jabs can choose either Pfizer or Moderna as their third shot, and 6 months apart after the second jab. Well, it is indeed good news because we need all the protection we can get, especially now that more vaccines are coming into the country, especially with the mRNA type, which are Pfizer and Moderna. We can actually afford to have the booster shots earlier as well, because it's not just us being safe, but when one is safe, others are also safe.
Exactly.
And moving on now to another big story, which has been ongoing since last week. So the Thai cabinet decided today to suspend the implementation of the controversial industrial estate project in Chana district of the southern province of Songkhla, pending a new strategic environmental assessment, or SEA, of the project to be undertaken by an ad hoc committee. And a Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Prime Minister's Office, Mongkon Chai, told the media after the cabinet meeting that the decision will come effective tomorrow, after which the Office of the Secretary General of the Cabinet will issue a circular instructing all state agencies involved in implementation of the project to suspend their operations until this assessment is completed. Public hearings on the project will also be suspended. A new SEA ad hoc panel, which is supposedly to be chaired by the Prime Minister himself, will instead be delegated to Deputy Prime Minister Prawit Wongsuwan, who will be tasked as the chairman here. And he is perceived to be an unfavorable choice for the Chana protesters who rejected the cabinet decision, claiming that it is just a government tactic intended to buy time. For example, Prasit Chai Nunuan, who's a leader of the Andaman Network, said the cabinet decision is contradictory to the principles of the SEA because it appoints a party which is in direct conflict with the protesters to be in charge. So basically, is the government being a party of conflict here with the local people. So the ad hoc panel will comprise, apart from the Deputy Prime Minister, among others, are the Southern Border Provinces Administrative Center, or SBPAC, which used to oversee the project and was responsible for conducting previous SEA without the participation of the protesters, which is actually being demanded right now. Meanwhile, head of the Rural Doctors Society and director of Chana Hospital has described the ad hoc committee as a charade and hopeless, saying that all its members are old faces, ranging from General Prawit to the SB PAC. He said the protesters want the National Economic and Social Development Council, or NESDC, which is a government think tank, to oversee this assessment process instead. So with their demands being unanswered, he said the protesters will still continue their rallies in Bangkok. So they are still rallying today, for example, and may even increase in momentum in the future. So the protesters are rallying near Government House, and it is not yet known whether they will return to their camp in front of the UN building, which is not so far away from that either, or even, going back home in Songkhla province as well. It is definitely really tricky. And even though it does seem on the surface that the suspension means that, okay, the government is backing off a little bit, but the remaining processes are still the same. So the protesters are seeing that, well, there's nothing changing, and no outcome which would be different would actually be yield at the moment.
It looks like a very long way to go anyway for the issue to be resolved. So we have to see how it goes with the new panel and other arguments that might come up from the protesters as well. And now let's move on to this issue. When you travel on the plane, you are forced, not necessarily forced, but like you are urged to wear face masks at all times. But then with the face mask, some people believe that if we're going to wear face masks that has the exhalation valves, like on the face mask, whether it's appropriate to wear them or not, because some people think it would be a lot easier to breathe with these valves. But it has been announced that passengers are not allowed to wear face masks with exhalation valves on board, and this is to prevent the possible spread of COVID-19. This has been confirmed by the CAAT, or the Civil Aviation Authority of Thailand, which announced that passengers on both domestic and international flights coming in and out from Thailand are no longer allowed to wear face masks equipped with exhalation valves to prevent the possible spread of COVID-19. And the rule took effect already since December 1st. And to confirm this news, Thailand's Anti-Fake News Center also published an article confirming that this information is true. Airports and airlines have been told to inform passengers of the ban and to comply with health and safety measures prior to and during their travel. Otherwise, they may face legal action. And in accordance with the announcement, on December 8th, Nok Air also announced that passengers will no longer be allowed to wear these type of masks to comply with the rule as well. So with the mask issue, it's well based on what the CAAT could as advised. There are different types of masks that you could wear, but the best way to protect yourself from COVID-19, the possible spread of COVID-19, is to wear surgical masks because that would be the best way to protect yourself from the virus.
Right. And moving on to another big issue, and also quite some good news, rather, that Thailand's National Health Security Office, or NHSO, has agreed to provide 6 additional free health services to holders of gold health cards from next year, January the 1st onwards. So according to Associate Professor Prasopsi Ung-Tawan, who's the head of the subcommittee responsible for designating the type and scope of health services for gold card holders, they will be eligible for BRCA1 and BRCA2 breast cancer screening, which is the blood test to determine changes in DNA, which increase the risk of breast cancer. So according to Dr. Prasopsi, early detection of breast cancer among people whose families have records of DNA mutations means that they can seek early treatment. Next is HIV PEP to prevent the onset of symptoms in people exposed to HIV virus by providing them with antiviral medication. Then people will also be eligible to screening of patients suffering from metabolic genetic disorders via the tandem mass spectrometry, which will allow for early treatment as well. And as for people who are at least 40 years old and also at risk of oral cancer, they can also be eligible to see a oral screening as well. And this cost, which of course is subsidized, is estimated at about 600 baht each, and it is also estimated that 2% of the entire Thai population should be screened with this as well. Next benefit is dental implants for toothless people. So the average cost of dental implants is normally estimated about 24,000 baht, and this will help improve the quality of life. Obviously, I mean, I can't imagine living without teeth. And last, but certainly not least, the human normal immunoglobulin intravenous therapy for post-COVID infections. So this would include multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children, as well with people given mRNA vaccines. And the cost of this therapy ranges from 50 to 100,000 baht. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Do catch us like this every weekday at 7 p.m. for all the top stories, explainers, and of course, you can't miss our commentaries.
And don't forget to follow us on social media as well as our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest updates as well as analyses. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ